Just to introduce the guests. Remember, we were talking about Kenya, which of course launched the Kenya population-based HIV impact assessment survey that happened about maybe 2 weeks ago. And right now in studio, I'm joined by Dr. Peter Cherotich, who's the head of preventive and promotive health in the Ministry of Health. Thank you very much for joining us. It's great to see you after such a long time.
Long time. Thank you, Betty.
Yeah, yes. We also have James Kamau, who from the Kenya Treatment Access Movement, which is a network of people living with HIV. Thank you, James, for joining us once again. It's also been quite a long time.
Thank you.
All right, welcome, gentlemen. So first things first, before even we get to this particular survey, I'd like just to hear from you where we are at with regard to control of HIV in the country right now. Dr. Peter, I'll start with you.
Yeah, thank you, Betty, and thank you for the invitation to talk about HIV and also the survey that we are doing. As a country, we consider ourselves to be doing relatively well as far as fighting HIV is concerned, although we still are the 4th largest epidemic in the world, so we have a long way to go. We do estimate now that we have about 1.6 million people living with HIV. Out of those, about 1.1 million are on treatment. So we've done fairly well in terms of getting people to treatment. But that means we have a gap of about 500,000 people that are not on treatment, mainly because they do not know their HIV status. And that is really the big gap that we want to fill and ensure that every single person who is HIV infected gets treatment. Now, again, we still have a big gap. Our new infections are declining, but not at the rate that we'd want it to be. We're at about 100,000 per year, but we really want it to go down because we have an ambition that by 2030 we would have eliminated HIV, and we have a long way.
All right, let me also hear the thoughts of James Kamau. What would you say with regard to your assessment of where we are right now as a country? Is it an improvement from what Dr. is saying?
Yes, there's a lot of improvement, and I must say that we are moving on the right direction. And we have a lot of political goodwill, especially from the top and everywhere. So in terms of fighting and everything else, it is there. But on terms of interventions, we need to do a bit more, especially now that we have adapted the test and treat. So like you're saying, until we capture all those people, like Dr. says, the 500,000 people who are out there need to be put on treatment. And I also think as a country, we are looking at it now, not just from a medical point of view, but the socio-economic aspect of the disease and what it is doing and how it is. And that's what is important.
Interesting.
And it's interesting that the 1.1 million people who are on treatment, they have contributed towards the economy and everything else as we are moving forward. So keeping them alive is much better.
So we're doing some great work in that respect. So what then are the main challenges? You know, why aren't we able to get to this 500,000 that we're talking about? Is it because, and you know, the thing is, we've had quite a number, many programs that have been out there, fronted by the Ministry of Health, by NASCOP, different organizations, to try and make people go out there and get tested. Is this because this maybe has slowed down, or what is the reason why we are having these people who still do not know their HIV status? Or isn't it a priority anymore to do that?
But it is a priority, still a priority of government to actually go out and test people. The challenge we have is that some populations, particularly men, are not really coming out to test for HIV. And as you know, testing in this country is voluntary. We can't really force
people to do it.
So we have strategies to continue encouraging men to actually get tested. And that's a big gap that we really want to make sure that we fill.
Why is it that it's men?
Yes, one of the things is that I think just naturally men are not very keen to seek health services and to come out compared to women. But also on the other hand, women have greater opportunities to actually interact with the HIV testing because they come to the antenatal clinic where now we offer them testing, and so they also get that opportunity.
So it's easier for them.
Absolutely.
James, do you want to add on that? Why is it that
I'll be very categorical here. I may not be popular now, but men are cowards when it comes to issues of HIV, testing and everything else. And like he said, like Dr. has said,
yes,
a lot of women are out there because one, the antenatal care, two, even if they're not antenatal care, they take care, you know, they go. They are willing to go forward. Men are not willing to go forward. A case in mind is that we have a shortage of blood in the blood bank because a lot of people do not want. But I think overall we have another opportunistic infection of HIV known as stigma and discrimination, whose remedy is attitude,
right,
non-medicinal. So that in itself puts a lot of people from wanting to know their status. And men have this so-called attitude, I don't want to know. If it is there...
Let me know later, in the advanced stages. All right, let's now come then to, this particular impact assessment survey. It's called Kenya Population-Based HIV Impact Assessment Survey. So, of course, this is it is a survey that will see what happened in the country differently from what has been happening.
Yes. Right, and it's actually a survey that we do every 5 years. In the past, we've called it KAIS. We did it in 2012 and 2007. And so it's something that we periodically do so that we can assess our progress towards, the response towards meeting our targets as far as HIV is concerned. This time it's bigger. And it's also part of a multi-country sort of study and survey that is supported by the US government. And so we will go to about 20,000 households, about 35,000 individuals, where we will go actually to their households and get to talk to them and also get to test them for HIV, test them for hepatitis B and also syphilis. And this is something that will be continuing for the next 4 to 6 months.
All right. Yes. So you said 25,000 households.
20,000 households.
20,000 households.
Yes.
And the thing is also something about this particular one is that it's also focusing on the counties, because previously, the assessment has been focusing on, the regions, but now you're narrowing down to counties. What do you think is going to be the impact of that, James?
The impact of that, and I don't want to preempt, but the impact of that is that we will see where the prevalence is thought to be high. We will see the kind of intervention that is going on. We will see where other places that were perceived to be low in the prevalence. And then it will also bring out the goodness. It may show us that having put 1.1 people on treatment, which means when they get their ARVs, they now cannot, it becomes difficult to transmit.
Yes.
In fact, untransmittable, undetectable equals untransmittable, because that's what we are suppressing. So it will show what we are actually doing. And it will help us in determining how we move forward. And I also think other than testing the people to find out how many are HIV, it will show us the socioeconomic benefits, so that when we are asking for more intervention and money, there's something tangible behind it.
All right. Actually, what do you think is going to be the impact from your point of view? You've handled this, such programs for such a long time. What is the difference with this one, and what's going to be the impact?
Yes, we always benefit from greater precision when we're doing our planning. And so for the first time, we have really a greater precision of what could be happening at the local level, at the county level. So it will enable counties to be more efficient in terms of how they are budgeting for their resources. And it will actually almost tell them that within my county, this could also be where, I need to focus on even within the county. So from time to time, we've been actually trying to have a local approach to our epidemic. We started national, then we went regional, now we're going county. So we do believe that we're actually trying to get to the heart of the epidemic. That's what we're trying to do by going to the county level. And counties actually demanded this because, our last survey we did, there was no devolution. Now there's devolution, and counties are saying, show us our data, show us what our epidemic is so that we can project into the future.
All right.
Yeah.
So you mentioned also 20,000 households, and this is going to be door to door.
Right.
First of all, how are you positive that people will actually accept? Because if I cannot, actually just talking about the 500,000 people, if I cannot take myself to to the local clinic or dispensary to get checked, how comfortable will I be with somebody coming with the kids to my house and actually wanting to do these tests?
I've been on the field, and I'm part and parcel of it. We sit on the steering committee with Dr. Charity.
Right.
What I found out is that when we go to the household, we're actually taking the service to the people. And when we go out there, what happens is that first and foremost, we explain to them what the reason is and why we are looking for it and what is important and everything else. And they readily agree, because now they understand what the issues are.
Okay.
And we are letting them know that if found positive, we are going to put you in care. If found negative, we will teach you how to continue. So they are counseled and everything else. So we're actually removing the myth that has been there before of what the issues are. So I think it is important that they go out. But most important is that the people are liking it. These households are randomly selected.
Okay.
So what I found out, like in the coast region, especially the Malindi area, and when you go to certain households where there are many other households,
yes.
Within the, they are asking why are you leaving us out?
Okay.
It is actually addressing that issue because people are, like I told you earlier on, because of stigma.
All right.
They are now seeing the need for it to come out, and I think it's important.
Dr.
Yes.
Okay, you want to add on that?
I just want to add on that, because on top of what you said is that we just don't barge into households. We do prepare them. We actually send an advanced team ahead of going to do the testing. We work with the local elders, the village elders, the local administration, where we actually go to homes and we tell people, we will be coming. Today is not the day, but we will be coming on a certain date, and this is what we'll be doing. So we prepare the communities in advance. And I also went to a place in Nakuru, and people are saying, okay, fine, we are ready. When you come, we'll be ready for you.
You'll be ready.
Yes.
And when the team goes back, they find them.
Yes,
ready for
they
them.
do. Yes. They do.
And has the project had any sort of resistance from people who feel like maybe this is getting into my private space? Have you had any restrictions or resistance from people?
What we hear when we go is that there is some hesitancy sometimes because people don't really understand what it's all about. People ask questions, why my household?
Yes, and not the other person.
Yes, and so we explained to them. I think that is really the biggest challenge that is there. Other people are really asking, so after you've tested me, so what happens after this? So we explain to them that we'll refer to you. But we've not had really challenges where there's sort of an outright, problem. Because again, we emphasize to everyone, every household, that this is, voluntary. This is purely voluntary,
right,
and that you have a right to decline, and you will not have anything against you.
Yes.
If you just say no.
If you say no.
Of course, we're encouraging people to decline because we really need many people to participate.
All right.
Yeah.
All right. Coming to you, James. So after you've done the test and I'm found positive, what happens after that? Do you just leave people like that?
No.
What support do you offer?
No. We don't leave people like that. In the team, we have counselors, and so they are counseled. And then we have the medical team, which is out there. We have doctors. They are now referred to the nearest place where they can go for treatment and to start uptake of their treatment. And also, they are put under care of other organizations.
Okay.
For example, where I was, there was an organization known as WAFAC, Women Fighting AIDS in Kenya. So you refer for example, the people there so that they can now start learning more and do it. So you actually translate them straight back into, into care.
Okay.
And also, if they are negative, you also need to counsel them on how to stay negative.
Okay.
And move forward.
Move forward. All right, coming to you, Dr. as we wind up, how are you able to spread these 20,000 households in every county? How are you selecting these households?
Thank you, Betty. What we do is that we work with the Kenya National Bureau of Statistics. What they have done is, based on census reports, they have actually mapped households, every household, and then grouped several households together, and then into what we call clusters, and then those clusters are also grouped. So what happens is that it's all put in a computer program, actually, and we have all these clusters, and you're saying you need so many clusters in this particular county, so many clusters in this particular county. You run the computer program, and it actually gives you the clusters at random. So it's something that is the Kenya National Bureau of Statistics do it. They do it for most of other surveys, because it's not only HIV that's done. They are national expenditure surveys. We have consumer surveys. We even have the census itself. And that's really based on what we call a master frame that's developed by the Kenya National Bureau of Statistics. They're the experts who do that.
They are the experts to do that. James, what is the one thing that you hope that this project will actually result to?
This project will result to several things. One, we will be able to know what our prevalence is. It will be able to show us what is working and how best we can do it. And for some of us who are in our work is advocacy. We will advocate, where it's working well, we will advocate for more resources to be put in into it, especially from the local national budgets, so that we can go ahead. It will also show us where we've gone wrong. There are counties where the prevalence, according to the last survey, like the Dr. has told you, have been high. If it's still high, what are we not doing right, and how are we doing? Thirdly, it will also give us an estimate of, because I can tell you there will be different, different results. It will give us something tangible to be able to work on. And mine, as an activist, and being in this, is that it will give informed issues. There's data, so that when I sit on the table and ask the Minister of Finance, you need to put so much. There's evidence to show that it works and it is moving forward. And then lastly, it will address stigma and discrimination, because we still have that, that odd thing out. Because I can tell you, I went to 2 households, and one man had 3 wives, and all of them tested negative. He jumped up and down. Now, I don't know why. Together with the children, now this, and he went out telling the people, he's now the one encouraging the other people to go out. So they're actually indirectly addressing stigma and discrimination.
Okay. Finally, Dr. How is this project and the many others that the Ministry of Health is undertaking aligned to universal health care, which is one of the biggest agendas for this government?
Right, our work is actually at the center of universal health coverage, because the main theme about universal health coverage is to leave no one behind. So in this survey, then we will know who is it that we've left behind, and therefore we need to bring them on board.
Okay.
So that will provide us with a lot of data that will, moving forward, help us to meet universal health coverage. And then the other element that's also within the universal health coverage is that we will not only be looking at HIV, we'll be looking at hepatitis and STIs. And because, again, we don't want some of these epidemics to sort of be sneaking behind us as we're sort of focusing on HIV. And universal health coverage is about all diseases amongst all people and ensuring that everyone benefits. And then lastly, we are very keen to ensure that no one faces what we call catastrophic health expenditure. No one sort of goes broke as a result of getting a service. And so with HIV in particular, we'll continue to advocate for these resources to be available internationally. we continue to bring partners together,
okay,
so that HIV treatment continues to be free.
Okay.
Yes.
Free of charge for everybody.
Correct, yes.
Yeah, finally, we have to wrap up.
Lastly, I think this survey is one of the largest surveys. There have been many others that have been done in different countries.
Okay.
So this is more comprehensive. And I think at the end of the day, it is not just going to be beneficial for the 42 million Kenyans.
Yes.
It is going to be beneficial for the Eastern and Central African region, because they'll be able to use the data to be able to inform. So it's actually something that is more, if you take in consideration our budget was 3.7 trillion. The second largest was 800 million, which was Uganda. So, I mean, these are issues that will help put up the issues.
Okay. Thank you very much. I've been speaking to James Kamau from the Kenya Treatment and Access Movement, which is basically a network of people living with HIV. Food Save Health in the Ministry of Health. Thank you for your time, gentlemen. All right, so we want to take a short commercial break right now. In a few moments, we still about half an hour to go. And as we take this break, let's just bring you also some pictures coming in from the CBD, Dal weather and the traffic there. As you can see, that's what's happening there. So if you've not left home, maybe you should. And yeah, so as you can see, traffic is flowing properly. Let's take that short commercial break. We will also be having Tandiwe Yego to talk to us about what's currently trending online, the conversations happening on social media. That's coming in a few moments, so do not go away. We'll be right back.
This is KTN News.